Warm up. Listen to the lullaby of Broadway. Hey, RJ! Excuse me. Hello, hello.
Hello! We are tackling your topic today.
I'm impressed. RJ has appeared in both Facebook and YouTube. I guess he's
RJ everywhere.
Yeah, we tried to inhale dinner.
We didn't just try, we succeeded. But we also meant that we inhaled dinner, so.
Mine's slightly still stuck in my throat. Karen, hello, Karen.
Yep, I'm going to LSS on the lullaby of Broadway all night.
So while we're warming up, so I had a weird dream.
Oh, we're gonna talk about your dream, huh?
My dream was Rocky and I supposedly flew to Japan, and when we got there, a friend based in the United States greets us because he turns out to have a house there. So we hang out in his place, and it's like 4 or 5 stories up. And we're there at the second story, and it's like everything's windows, so there's not much walls, and it's you can see the beauty of Japan and all that. And as we're enjoying our trip, there's this earthquake, and with the rattling and all that, I have that brief moment of, oh no, what if? And of course, the moment you're thinking of something like that, it happens in the dream. So next thing we know, there's all these alarms, and you can see the waves rushing against the glass because there's a tsunami. And my friend, the guy who owns the house, like tells us, let's just go to the highest level. So we start making our way up, and as we're making our way up, and I'm starting to get nervous about things, that's when I start to realize, wait a minute, he's not based in Japan. And all of a sudden, I realize I'm dreaming. So I wake up. Interesting.
That's the story.
Hey, Jay.
Hello, Jay.
But admittedly, it's one of the more normal dreams I've had
Oh, wow.
compared to the more insane dreams I get sometimes.
Remember that you had like that weird infinite runner one where like you were literally crashing through rooms in a building or something?
Yes, yes. I just kept running from room to room. And I realized now there was Levi's commercial.
Oh yeah, there is.
That had
There is a
that.
similar commercial.
So I wonder if
Parkour.
I wonder if it was related to that. No. This is not an episode of Lucid Dreams. It's just that, before we officially start the episode, just warming up, I thought to fill the air. Mabuhay, Noel! But maybe we should have an episode on lucid dreaming.
Okay, and then, for fellow theater fans,
Yes.
42nd Street is this weekend's free show on The Shows Must Go On. And that's a classic, guys. That is a classic. There are so many songs that when you hear them in the musical, you will be surprised that they are from that musical,
Yes.
but you may have heard them out of context. And I'm all for it. I'm super loving the staging. We haven't quite finished it. And hence, LSSing on the lullaby of Broadway. I'm gonna keep going over it. I feel bad. I feel super bad that I know I saw it, but we didn't make time to watch An American in Paris last weekend,
Mm-hmm.
and that's I've only seen An American in Paris as the movie, as the Gene Kelly movie.
Mhm.
So, my gosh, wow! And then Bacarisas, I know you're a bot, but you have somehow picked up. We're talking about music somehow. Which is weird because that's not the actual topic of the night.
And then what if biglang nag-respond? Hindi po. Ah! Human bot! Human bot!
But yeah, Nikki, in the same way that yesterday we summoned David with math, it looks like we summoned Nikki with talking about musicals.
Yes!
And that's the lullaby of Broadway. And there's even, oh my god, there's a particular version. I think it's one of the Tony Award ones because there's a way that I hear someone say Allentown. I think it was the Jerry Orbach version or something. I have to look it up. I'm totally mixing up my references, but
Mhm.
I'm gushing over music. So
Well, since you're gushing so much, maybe it's time we get started because our topic will be all about people we gush over.
yeah, I guess.
Oh my god, wait, I started what the episode is about without starting the intro. We should start the intro. This is Toby.
And this is Rocky.
And if it's your first time here, welcome to Baduy Pride. It's 101 episodes and it's your first time here? This is the show where we talk about anything we want.
Would you like to finish that? That's not how the intro goes.
I know, but you don't have the script up and my brain's blocking out.
This is completely unscripted and not entirely accurate, but at least it's honest. Join us as we talk about everything and anything random live.
If it's not your first time here, thank you so much for joining us again on our 101st episode where we will talk about our fandom idols.
Yeah, well, this is a topic suggested by RJ. He asked us who our idols or icons are. And at first, I'm like, I really know. Yeah. I mean, like, I'm the person, like, when you get that slum book question, like, who do you idolize?
Mhm.
It's like, I don't really think of people in the sense of idolizing that I want to be them or be like them or follow their life path. So, in that sense, I don't necessarily feel like I have strong idols.
Mhm.
What are your thoughts, Toby?
Well, I always felt that the term idol is a loaded, it's a loaded term. Excuse me.
Especially if they're like artificial musicians. No.
Well, more on
Idoro!
for some people who think of idols, in terms of let's say their idol in pop music or this and that, it's always I love this and the others are below. I hate the others.
Mm.
But that's not how we view idols. For us, idols are more. There are people whose work we really admire, almost to the point that we sometimes don't even really think about what the work is anymore. We're just excited to see anything new from them.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that excitement is because of how we either love their ethic, love their perspective, or love their works. And more often than not, it's all three. So a chance to talk about the people whose work we admire opens the doors for others to consider checking them out.
Yeah.
And there will be a lot of crossover with previous episodes.
Crossover.
Because this will touch on some of their favorite books, favorite songs, and this and that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's fine.
And thank you, RJ, for complimenting my impromptu singing voice. So, yay.
Rocky has a good singing voice.
Okay,
I'm
so...
only good for being a microphone. So let's proceed with the show.
Wow, already.
What?
Already, we've barely
No,
begun.
no.
The lullaby of Broadway. Okay, where do you want to start, Toby?
I want to start with you because you were having trouble thinking of what to answer.
Yes.
So I will start with the easy,
Jazz hands.
clear one because one of your obvious idols when it comes to writing is Terry Pratchett.
And it's funny that you bring up Terry Pratchett first. Why do you
Yes.
think it's Terry Pratchett first?
Because we've reached the end of what new works can come out.
Okay, yes.
So there is
sadly,
a
Sir
need.
Terry has passed on.
So there is a need to recognize his magnificence.
Mm. I mean, like, I definitely super like Terry Pratchett. There's something about his writing that is very approachable and entertaining without being overly complicated. I don't like it. I don't like it when writers, just when the language gets too complicated, or when the writing gets that you must jump through hoops to fully understand what's going on. And I have books like that. I mean, like Dune is guilty of this. Hello, Patricia. Dune is guilty of this. But in that sense, I don't necessarily think that Frank Herbert is an idol I like. I love the books. I love the world. But it's not the sort of writing, I guess, that I ever see myself doing. And then Terry Pratchett is like the gold standard for me of balancing humor and social commentary and
world building.
Yeah, but Discworld is familiar with so many elements that are similar to our life, but then it's still not. It's still a fantasy setting, and I cannot. And there are just always so many quotable quotes and lines.
I'm surprised at how much you love Pratchett's work, given there are puns in the way he approaches things without being punny.
Are you? I guess in that sense, but because if you think when you say puns in writing, then you're gonna go Pierce Anthony and Xanth.
Yeah,
that's like oh my god, my ears are bleeding.
That's like quicksand is literally sand that makes you move quicker.
Yeah,
but Pratchett does.
Terry Pratchett has a way for a clever turns of phrase. It's smart. It's just very, very smart, subtle writing with it. So I don't really feel like it's punny in that sense. It's clever.
Okay.
It's just very, very clever, and how things are similar but not, and familiar but not.
Or it has that aha moment to us. That's why that's the idea, because it connects to this and that. Whereas puns are very in your face.
Yeah.
And the aha moment becomes more, oh, yeah.
Which is what I feel like when I read Xanth. And don't get me wrong, I enjoy Xanth, but then this is a very different level of writing. Xanth is really groany, like if Toby were joking all the time.
GM shares Xanth is love in small doses.
Yes, I have tried binge reading Xanth in the sense that I'm going to read all the Xanth books, and after one, it's like I need to take a break. I need to read something else.
I think for me, the reason why Xanth was so entertaining is the same reason I enjoy Dan Brown books. So Xanth is the Dan Brown of Terry Pratchett. At least in my perspective.
Wow. I guess so. Hello, Andre. If you have to ask if you're late, you probably are. You always ask. I know this. You're always asking.
But join us, Andre. Join us. So that's Pratchett. And if anyone were to try Pratchett for the first time, what would be the entry point, regardless of whether it's hard to find or what? Like, if it were possible, what would be the book you'd recommend them, or the story you'd recommend they check out?
I mean, on the whole, Terry Pratchett, the majority of his writing has been Discworld, and that is the most fun universe to explore. He has some older writing outside of Discworld, which are sold with covers that look similar to Discworld, but they are not. So be careful. But I feel like the fundamental stories that are easy to start with, because there are certain tracks of stories that he has written, and it follows particular characters in Discworld. You don't necessarily have to read them in specific order, but it helps if you do. So, like, my least favorite of the tracks tends to be the ones about Rincewind the Wizard. He's okay, but this is like very early writing, and then I think the character never really got that far. My favorites are always the witches. So you can start with the witches. Technically, you can start with Equal Rights, but Equal Rights is a little harder to appreciate. Jump to the witches first, and then you can go back to Equal Rights. Or you can start with the books about death, the personification of death as a character. The very first one the one that's easy to jump into is Mort, where death takes on an apprentice. And that has long-reaching implications about the characters that are covered in this book. There are many others like Reaper Man and Soul Music, but you have to start with Mort, definitely. So there's also the ones about the City Watch, which starts with like guards. But it's okay. The guards angle grew on me in time. But I think Terry Pratchett put a lot of his in a way himself, or at least a lot of his thoughts on the world into the guards
Mhm.
subplot. So there's some very high concept things, and then and then there are a lot of one-off stories across that aren't necessarily part of super long arcs that go well. Things that stand out in this regard are probably The Truth, where someone starts a newspaper in
Mhm.
Port City, or um, I know a lot of people like Small Gods, that has a lot of like interesting concepts. The list goes on and on. But the easiest for me is always Death or the Witches.
Okay.
So Mort or the Witches.
Mhm.
Oh, it's not even called the Witches. It's called oh my god, Weird Sister. Sorry, Weird Sister.
It's about the witches.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You okay?
It's a lot.
Yes, it's a lot. Patricia shares, since I was with Raya fanatic, Whitney Mariah, interesting term. This good topic to talk to. We can discuss experiencing fandom culture. Hello to people here in the live stream. Yes, of course. Um, Again, we are just talking about the different fandom related idols that we have, because idols is such a loaded term.
Mm-hmm.
You've so yours, one of the ones we covered so far is Pratchett. I can share that when it comes to horror, I'm a very big Barker fan, and I always just liked how his horror was very internal. Stephen King is always about the horror that's outside. Something weird happens, a fog rolls in, or a package appears out of nowhere, or this and that. Whereas for Barker, it's always about the darkness that's coming from inside. So whether it's because of your passions, because of your greed, your lust, because of your um, ambitions, and I really like that aspect of Clive Barker. Um, Clive Barker also has this tendency to be a bit more on the fantastic side when it
Mhm.
comes to his horror. So it's not just about a guy who tends to be drunk and broken, but maybe it's drunk and broken and now has tapped into this dark power. Or it's not just about this woman who wants to kill someone, but it's this woman who wants to kill someone and now has found this fantasy world where she can call upon agents to do the killing. So it's that aspect which I
Okay.
like about Barker's work. If I were to suggest one book, and I mentioned this in another episode as well, it would be Thief of Always, because it's light enough to have the darker tones, but it still has the nice Barkerisms in there. Patricia asks,
Times that you encounter a toxic novel and comic book fan. I don't know if that directly relates to what we're talking about today. I haven't really. Well, I mean, I probably have, but then I just steer clear. Like, I don't like getting into arguments about.
mhm.
I mean, because if you say by toxic, I guess because it degenerates into what is better than the other
Yes.
or stuff, and I don't really engage.
And admittedly, that's what we kind of try to avoid. We're not the type to say this or that should be better. So it's, for example, many always try to um, start a fire between Star Trek and Star Wars.
Hmm.
Why not love both, or
Yeah.
why not hate both? That's really up to you.
Oh my gosh!
But the point is, there is no need for one to be better than the other. Whereas while it can be fun to have
Mhm.
those debates, if the debates start becoming toxic, it's time to move away and not be part of that discussion.
Yeah.
Music. Who would you say?
Well, I like Kylie. I always like
Mhm.
Kylie Minogue.
And why has Kylie always been in your radar?
I wouldn't say always, but I think especially. I mean, like when I came out and then started experiencing gay culture directly and like going to bars and stuff, then I think my love really solidified. And then I realized that looking back, a lot of her music was already like
Stuff you like.
stuff I like,
Mhm.
especially in different parts of my life. I like Kylie because there is a timelessness about her
That's true.
that and especially I think in recent years she's just super having fun. It's like her newest album is disco and it's
Mhm.
literally Kylie doing a modern disco album. It
Yes.
is disco style music
But for this
with
year,
modern sensibilities.
Mhm.
And it's so nice. And she's had like different angles throughout. And then largely what I feel like what's always nice about her is that um there is a joyfulness about her music. So
Mhm.
even her sad songs are happy. Even her emotional songs are danceable. There at one point she pivoted and like fully embraced her role in like dance clubs, and then
Yes.
the role she plays in queer culture,
Mhm.
and I just love all of that. And yeah, her then the music just continues to resonate, and then I can feel I can pinpoint songs that apply to different parts of my life based on when I first
Mhm.
heard them, going back to like things like you did it again,
Mhm.
which is like the crazy video, and then I super love that, and then it just goes on and on.
Mhm.
And now and now Kylie is my quarantine friend, and like say something really just lifts me up
Mhm.
and push things through. Karen was asking, did you watch her concert here? Yes, we watched the Aphrodite concert. It was the first concert Toby and I watched together.
And it was very hard to not sing when Rocky was recording the performances because I have a terrible voice when I sing.
It's a memorable voice. No, but and it was such a good concert.
Yes.
This is a good concert. And I mean like you more than what songs are sung, of course when you get to a concert you think about the entire production value and like what that experience is like. And the Aphrodite tour was wonderful. And then we keep hoping for another concert here. And then Infinite Disco, which was her live stream concert event, was great too.
Which was released some weeks back
early November,
and is having a re-release.
Yeah, there's going to be a release for New Year's. And it was weird to pay for watching something for one time digitally, and now I'm tempted to pay again.
Yeah, and
there's
actually,
a discount to watch it again.
For those who are curious to why Kylie is just so fun, we highly recommend you check out Infinite Disco before the year ends.
Yeah, there are 3 performances from the Infinite Disco concert that are available on her YouTube channel for what's this, for Real Groove, the Light Show / Supernova, and what was the last one? Say Something.
Yes.
Say Something with the gospel choir background. And Infinite Disco really feels like you are inside the disco ball. This is the Infinite Disco, and the Infinite Disco, FYI, is also what Kylie refers to her home studio as. That's her Infinite Disco, and hiya, so love it.
Nick is calling me out on how much growth I've made, which is true. In the past, I used to be a very polarized person when it came to fandoms. I used to be a Lost is awesome, Heroes is sucks, and Heroes is derivative.
Yeah, this is one of our earliest things. Like,
and admittedly,
ew, you like Heroes.
Admittedly, there was a time I really felt that was the way one expressed love for a fandom. But as I grew older, I realized it was so kindergarten.
Ooh, kindergarten.
Garden.
It's pronounced garden.
But yeah, it's just and I guess, part of growth is admitting when you have to make changes and when you make those changes.
So yeah, music is definitely Kylie Minogue. Patricia, like scale 1 to 100, what is your Kylie Minogue diehard fan level? I don't think I'm that high.
Yeah.
In the sense that I don't know her entire life. I haven't memorized all her songs.
We aren't like covered with memorabilia. We aren't like bidding for every rare this and that might be out there.
But we super love her. And then we enjoy her music when we hear it. And she is my most played artist on Spotify this year.
Yes.
Thank you, Spotify Wrapped. I knew this already, but hey, thanks.
And despite having access to digital music in a legal way, we still also buy the CDs when they come out. We only, I think, stopped in the last album. Because I know we still bought...
Because your car no longer has a CD player. So then there's no point.
It felt bad to buy
having
it.
Yes. Yeah.
Mine was, well, as for those who saw the top 10 list in terms of music, obviously mine would be Tori Amos. I guess it was just in a similar fashion to yours. There was that emotional connection that I felt with her music when I encountered it. Excuse me, I'm burping. Burp. Though the earlier album was Little Earthquakes, not the first, because the first was Why Can't Tori Read. We don't talk about Why Can't Tori Read. But If you check with any Torians fan, they don't talk about why can't Tori read. It was a very different era for her.
Mm.
My real connection started with Under the Pink, which was a more grungy, angry girl music
Mm.
with Cornflake Girl and Past the Mission and Father Lucifer and stuff, songs like that. But it was only by going back to Little Earthquakes that I suddenly discovered the. Oh God, I'm gonna sound like I'm trying to be all dramatic about it, but there's a purity in her songs when it's just her and the piano. And admittedly, when she eventually recreated herself to have a band,
Mm.
I kind of had trouble with appreciating her music as quickly as I did before because it suddenly felt more showy than what it was before, which felt very sincere. But I got over that after a while. And the latest work she's been releasing have incorporated vocals from her daughter,
Mm.
which are amazing. And she has an upcoming Christmas album, which I've shared the link to a friend who also loves Tori Amos, and we both agree doesn't sound like Christmas at all.
Oh, interesting.
Which is very Tori.
And Christmas releases are totally in style. We have that new Mariah, Ariana Grande, Jennifer Hudson collaboration.
Also known as the
Jennifer Hudson
the-
collaboration.
also known as the song where two whistle and the rest stare.
Yeah, and then little things like Todrick Hall
That was
released
nice.
a new version of Nails. Oh my God, I can't do that. But it's now a Christmas version of that song, and it works. It works surprisingly well. I think about albums are just a late statement, but then like I think the apart from disco now, the Kylie album that really resonated with me the most was like Kylie X.
Mhm.
Kylie X was like, oh my God, she's making music again.
Mhm.
And then I was in the US, and then I got to like that music was my companion
Mhm.
during the trip, and I keep going back to that album. And it's just always very confusing because there's a regular version and a deluxe version, and the song tracks are very different. But it confused me, and because that was the time when like there was no like streaming music service,
Oh.
and so you're always like trying to collect
Oh.
the tracks of the
Okay.
album.
I can relate to that a lot because I remember I used to buy and struggle to find foreign releases of certain collections in like used CD shops or in like those bargain areas of your music stores because they would tend to have one or two songs that were not released in the main album. And
When like Tower Records was a thing.
and sometimes it was like just normal song and same song with DJ something mix.
DJ Khaled.
But you're like, I need that version because you can't find it anywhere else. Oh, the days when there was no online service for music. You people have it so easy.
Yes.
So we've talked about music, we've talked about books. Let's go to games.
Ooh, I don't know. Wait, for books though, I have
Add
to
more?
also
Sure,
I have to
let's
cite
add more. That's
I also
fine.
have to cite in Neil Gaiman.
I was thinking that would be more under comics, but yeah, sure.
No, for me it's
It's more the books.
For me it's the books. And
Okay.
it's also the writing in the sense that what's this? When I think of Terry Pratchett, I love his writing, but I always feel like I can never write like Terry Pratchett.
Mm.
Neil Gaiman, especially his short story collections, gives me hope that if I really try, I can write something like this. I
Mhm.
can do this. And then like we haven't even finished listening to his masterclass
Mhm.
on masterclass.
Mhm.
And it's still intimidating, like, oh my God. But yeah, again, it's like Neil Gaiman is the writer that when I read his stuff, I want to write.
Mhm.
It always there's that moment of like I get inspired to want to write, even though I didn't necessarily do it or succeed at it. But I get that feeling. I really get the most pumped about wanting to write after reading a Neil Gaiman short story collection.
Mhm.
Okay, that's what I'll throw in. So
I realize that when it comes to Gaiman, I prefer his work having the added reinterpretation of someone. So like whether that's comics or adaptations to radio plays or movies or shows. I think when it's just the words, I feel I'm struggling because sometimes I guess I'm not sure if I'm visualizing it right.
mm,
So that's me when it comes to those. When it comes to his work. So I remember Neverwhere. When I was reading it, I was struggling. But then when I saw that limited series, I think it was BBC.
Which one?
Was it Neverwhere? Was
Okay.
it at BBC that had that limited series? It had a number of episodes of
Yeah,
a
yeah.
Neverwhere TV series, and totally fell in love with it again. And then when I started reading the book again, now I can better grasp it.
But then I don't. Was this because I never think of books in terms of having a right way of visualizing.
Mm-hmm.
Because books, that's the whole point of books,
Mm-hmm.
is that you fill in the blanks. Your imagination is the limit of how things will go, and your vision of a character is totally valid,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it may be. There's no directly right or wrong as long as you fit the descriptions that are provided.
Mm-hmm.
That's like how writing goes for me. So I don't. So I don't think you should feel that way. Like, but maybe it's just a difference of like how we approach it, because again,
Yeah.
you're more visual.
Yeah, I think I'm really.
You came into it more through comics, whereas I started in the books, and then and so then when I watch things like the Neverwhere TV show or read the Neverwhere comic, then it's like, okay,
That's an interesting way to do
that's
it.
not how I had it in my head, but sure, that works out too.
Yeah, I think I agree, because I am really more visual and stuff. Oh gosh, I keep burping. That's because I had soda today, and I'm so new.
Soda.
Yeah.
So you're thinking games. I don't know who to cite for games. Why don't you start off?
So for me, I'll have to mention Vlada Shivatil.
You practice that.
So that's everything from Space Alert
Galaxy
to
Trucker.
Galaxy Trucker to
Code names is also him,
Dungeon
right?
Lords. Yes, I believe Codenames is also under him. It's basically all these games that are interesting in how they really try to tap into a central mechanic that is then squeezed to make it more interesting. So for Galaxy Trucker, it's all about building things, and as you're building things, a large part of the gameplay is hoping it stays built by the time you're done with the journey.
Mm-hmm.
With code names, it's all about the looking at the words and finding ways to translate these words and deliver the message and not get caught by the other team, because they can then use those codes to avoid what they should not pick. Dungeon Lords had that aspect of, do you relish on building or destroying the adventurers, or building your base and making it more fantastic? Do you find that balance? Do you focus on ruining the other players, or do you just focus on making sure you survive? So I loved how, as a designer, he's not afraid to like explore so many different directions. And I know some don't really appreciate his games because they're not what's the word? They're not trying to be super innovative.
Mm-hmm.
They're like familiar approaches to similar mechanics. But I don't mind, because I think what he does that makes it innovative is that, as familiar as it is, he still is able to introduce it to you in a way that makes it feel fresh.
Mm.
And when you play it, you totally stop thinking of it as mechanics, and you're so into how the story is forming from the game you're playing. You?
I guess safest, and it's funny because I got this from you, is
Mhm.
that I think I've learned to fall in love with Ignacy Charisek for Portal games, and maybe just the whole Portal games concept, especially when he like codified things into like his blog being board games that tell stories, and you can see that philosophy reflected in all the games that he makes.
Thanks, Kirby.
And that's kind of awesome. That I like that, how all the different games do have stories or do generate stories, and they have many fun experiences. Today we spent the better part of the day playing Case 2 of LA Detective LA Crimes, and it was awesome. And I'm
very
glad.
80s.
Very 80s, which feels so different from how we did the first detective campaign. So I'm super enjoying it, and I'm glad that that he is doing campaign stuff. Because like, and it's like it's sort of his spin on like legacy games, that but not going full legacy
Mhm.
because the games are still replayable.
Yeah.
It's not. There's no destruction of components
It
and the
might
like.
it might not be replayable score wise, but you then can consider avenues you haven't tried
Yeah.
and explore where they lead.
I mean, like we had the situation where in Detective we played Case One twice because the first time we played Case One we weren't able to continue. A year passed, and then we finally played again, and so we felt like we needed to play the Case One again to kind of figure out where everything was going. Um, and it still felt okay. And our investigation went a different route.
Mhm.
It went a slightly different route, and I'm all for it, and I like that. And just things as crazy as Rattle Battle,
With a
grab the loot.
10!
Yay! Dead people. Rattle Battle, grab the loot, which is just a fun little dice game, and we're not really big on dice game.
Yes.
Wow, hi two guy, how's it? Okay. So yeah, so I love that. I love how that progression for Ignacy. I love the scrappiness of Portal Games as a company,
Mhm.
and I mean like they pioneered like instead of just doing Kickstarters when everybody was doing a Kickstarter for every board game they released, they just did pre-orders. They just did straight up pre-orders and did bonuses for based on how many pre-orders they received. So it was
Yes.
like Kickstarter stretch goals, but instead they collected the money directly.
Yeah.
Which was smart. Just super smart.
And it wasn't that the project won't push through. It's that they invested, they will release this project. So just, order in advance so we know that you will purchase. Quick jump into the comments. Jay asks, I have to immerse myself again in Kylie's music. To be honest, I haven't listened to her since I was in grade school via Mix, etc.
Oh gosh, then try disco.
Mm.
Go for disco. It's just bizarre. I love it. I love it so much.
Patricia shares, I shared my Spotify rap. My top artist this year was Mariah. I really projected it will be Mariah because I mostly listen to her songs rather than Whitney. Oh Santa was lit. Mariah and Ariana mixed their whistle in harmony. Yes, Jennifer was just in shock. Nikki, of course, Tower Records. Sounds shady, kinda. He shares Brandon Sanderson and Guy Gavriel.
Here, Brandon
Gabriel.
or wants to make me feel good. The thing is, like for him, Neil Gaiman's are a bit hit or miss,
Mhm.
and that's fair. I mean, like every author is like has that different perspective. Sanderson, I've only read 3 books, like that first trilogy, but I'm still like, I'm not like in love with it. I enjoyed it. I admire his proclivity for writing because he writes so much stuff, but at the same time, there's something rubbing me the wrong way about how he writes women,
Mhm.
which is weird because for Mistborn, your primary protagonist is a woman,
Mhm.
and like I don't know if I like the way he writes women. So, but maybe maybe I'm overthinking it. So
Yeah.
that's something else.
Nick has a question about game idols.
Yeah, so he says, because artists, filmmakers, there's always like articles, interviews about their inspirations process. Do game designers have the same opportunity to share the behind the scenes? Yes,
There is
totally yes.
there is a whole wealth of information to be found in YouTube, of many interviews, of many documentaries, of many behind the scenes specials or extras that many companies have released, or sometimes the creators themselves.
Yeah, so for Ignacy, for Portal Games, so he has a blog where he
Yes.
talks about different game design moments he has in trying to figure out different functions. And then when his Instagram was consistently working, they had so many behind the scenes like
Mhm.
it's why we got super excited for certain games because he would show videos of them play testing prototypes.
Yes.
And it's literally cards with like pieces with post-it notes stuck
Taped
on them
or drawn
with
on
like
them.
different text, and
Or-
then some of the components are literally like cut up paper cups,
Yeah.
doing different models. So it's quite exciting.
Yeah, and if you also try looking at sites like Board Game Geek,
Mm.
Board Game Geek, for example, hosts a lot of little contests, which are, there might be a contest, make a game that can fit in one single playing card, or a game wherein only use 10 playing cards as the entire game system, or make your roll and write game using this theme. And as people submit entries, people get to share their feedback and development notes. And the next thing you know, some of them actually gain momentum and become fully published games, like the upcoming Falling Skies game, which is an awesome solitaire game that has you against aliens invading the planet.
Very Space Invader style.
But you will find a lot of those stuff, whether it's during convention events, because there are convention events focused solely on games, whether it's board games or video games, or separately or together, as well as in other sites.
Also, like on Board Game Geek, a lot of the game designers are active on the forums and will answer questions directly, whether it's just clarifying rules or also sharing like what they're thinking about, what they're working on, what they're developing. So I feel like there's an intimacy to the board game community, that because a lot of the creators are just indie creators also, and they're very active online in like sharing what's going on. So yeah, long story short, there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff going on. You just have to tune in.
And then, of course, for games, I'll have to add in terms of idols. So, video games, I'm a Hideo Kojima fan.
Yes.
I'm happy that I'm finally playing Death Stranding. Oh my god.
This has been a long journey of Toby trying to get his computer working so that it can run it, freeing up enough space on his computer so that he can install it, buying memory to meet minimum specs,
and then finally
panicking at the last minute that the game wasn't loading and was still saying he didn't have enough specs, being grumpy all night while trying to diagnose it with many friends giving ideas, and then finally playing the game in the wee hours of the morning and being happy.
Yes.
So it's been a journey.
So Kojima, I love his perspective on how games are. If you look at the games he has created, and the more prominent ones would be, of course, the Metal Gear series, but we cannot, of course, discount Death Stranding, as well as the ideas that were supposed to be explored in games that did not push through, such as Silent Hills. There's always a very interesting thesis behind what he wants to tell in each game. And one of the things I really like about it is that he seems overt about things, but if you look online, the way people dissect the message, it's still not too overt to still allow dialogue and discussion.
Yeah, there's so many arguments and I guess debates and discussions about what do these things really mean,
or what did he want to say, or why was this the message? And admittedly, his attention to detail in games is quite remarkable. Something as simple as Metal Gear Solid, for example. If you study it, it looks like it's a game that's trying to be a simulation of a military, agent operative goes into a foreign land to deal with things. But in the game, he goes in without weapons, alone. They never do that in real life.
Yeah.
But it works because he likes this interplay of the fantastic with the realistic and finding ways that it just adds up to the drama. He comes up with Metal Gear Solid in a way that makes you feel like, okay, this guy loves military stuff because of the detail and the guns, the way operations work and this and that. But suddenly your enemy's a vampire. Or suddenly you have
psychic.
And it's that joy of just going with the flow and seeing where the story will lead you, is which makes me love his work so much. There's so much care in the experience that you actually feel that the game was made because they want you to enjoy playing it.
Yeah, so now Death Stranding feels very relevant because like you start off and your protagonist is a delivery man, and it's like he is a COVID essential worker, just delivering stuff. And we'll see how that goes.
But yeah, Kojima would be my video game person. Do you have a video game idol?
I guess the closest thing to an idol is probably Tim Schaefer, and I've spoken a lot about my love for Tim Schaefer and his contribution to my childhood. As a lifelong adventure game lover, player, and the like. And when you talk about really point and click adventure games and those kinds of narratives, it's only in retrospect that I fully appreciated that Tim Schaefer is responsible for many of the games I love the most because of his longtime work with LucasArts, that old game studio, and then thus contributing to games like Maniac Mansion 2, Day of the Tentacle, Full Throttle, and of course Grim Fandango. So, and then it's sort of similar to like what happened with Portal Games. Then as I got to better understand the story of like what he's been doing now, his little game company, Double Fine Productions, and them being an independent studio still, and like just trying to churn out games that they like, Psychonauts, and then later on they came back to point and click adventures with Broken Age.
Yes.
And
that hasn't had its sequel yet.
no, there's no sequel work at the moment, and so it's I super appreciate that his direction, and then because during the Broken Age Kickstarter period, they also commissioned a production crew, the documentary crew, to follow them during the production of Broken Age. Then it was really like so much insight into how they approach game design and development.
This glimpse to their creative process and their philosophies towards how things are to be designed.
And including retrospectives on like what was he thinking in coming up with some of his previous games that, so things like Grim Fandango and Maniac Mansion, and it's awesome. So I Tim Schaefer, definitely. I super love Tim Schaefer.
Role-playing games, I'll have to now squeeze that in. I do have some level of fanboying towards John Wick's work. Surprisingly not, though, his more popular work. So, burping, sorry. Excuse me?
Because keep drinking soda.
His more popular work
soda is terrible.
Would be, of course, his work on Legend of the Five Rings and other games. But my adoration for his work falls more towards the less popular ones, such as Houses of the Blooded. You have the smaller ones like Wilderness of Mirrors, which was his spy game, or the Shotgun Diaries, which was
that was fun.
His crazy zombie game. It's all these tiny games that have so much experience as Shower March, and of course being a dear game in my heart.
Terrifying game.
But I love his sense of finding that key thing in the game and making it work, because he likes players that embrace the drama, celebrate the tension, and challenge each other, but not just try to ruin things for each other. So I love his games when they work. I love the way he approaches things. In a similar way, although in a less fanboy way, would be Jared Sorenson's work, which then includes Lacuna, The Birth of Mystery, and The Girl from Blue City, for example, which then has also such a striking view on how the process and the creative design of a game generates the experience, which is why I've really stopped sticking to just the standard popular RPG game systems out there, because if you don't play all these different systems, you won't really realize what you're missing unless you try.
Yeah, there's a really diverse world. I cannot directly contribute to like if there's a particular RPG designer that I like the most, because the way I experience RPGs is through Toby and what he introduces to us players at the table. So I mean, it's neither here nor there. So like I'm okay. There's nothing I can no one designer I can particularly cite as someone I would idolize.
Kenny asks, any specific game studios you're fans of? I presume this is video games in terms of studios.
Yeah, I guess. Then Kojima, no. Well, now that he has his own studio.
Exactly. Because if you say, it's unfair to say his studio now, because a lot of the games I love from him were not from that studio. But if I were to choose a studio-based passion, oh wow, that's tricky. I can't really think of one, because I guess I never really looked at things in that way. I never was a this studio produces stuff I like. The closest I was to that was Portal games with board games.
Okay,
but in video games, it was like, for example, I love the Katamari Damacy series, but for the life of me, I don't know what the studio is.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But you get my point, right? We never really focused on the studio so much. For you, I guess it's Double Fine Productions, but again,
not even.
It's like Kojima.
No, I think it's more. I mean, like, what's this? I think in terms of studios now. No, not even still. Also because they're defunct. But
Mhm.
I think I have to look at what's this? I have to look at Paradox Games
Oh, that works.
because so many of the games that
you
we've
like.
enjoyed the
Yes,
most in
that's
recent
true.
years, from City Skylines to Stellaris,
That's true.
have all been Paradox releases,
That's
and
true.
I gotta give them credit. So, yay Paradox.
Mm.
That's definitely something. Kenny was like arguing, but that's just a person. No, but Kojima has his own studio now because when he left Konami, it became his own
Yes.
studio. It became Kojima Productions.
Yes.
So
And there are rumors that one, Metal Gear Solid is having a movie with Oscar Isaac as the lead role.
Huh?
I don't see the fit. I'm sorry. I think they just have the same
Huh?
beard. But
just because he's, and then it's like me and Duke Leto, and like
um,
really.
and then there is talk that Metal Gear Solid will be redone. The first Metal Gear Solid, not Metal Gear,
Oh, that's sad.
for the new consoles. So it's newer graphics.
Oh,
new-
it's just the same story but redone. But
Supposedly.
okay, that's, and they have that right because they own it, so they can do whatever
Yeah.
they want with it.
But the biggest rumor is that there have been posts on social media implying Silent Hill might be back.
Mm.
So I will let you guys, if you're interested in looking for that, Google it on your own. But there have been all these interesting clues that they might have been hinting that the Silent Hill project is alive again.
Jay cites that Square Enix owns a part of my soul. I thought about citing Square Enix, but then and I'm not enough. Like I've enjoyed the Final Fantasy games, but I don't think I've super loved them all, and I haven't really been motivated to super finish them.
I think
Kingdom Hearts is awesome.
I think I broke up with Square Enix after the Kingdom Hearts fiasco.
Which fiasco in particular are you talking about?
I just got tired of waiting.
Waiting for
and,
3.
And after all that wait, I kind of, this isn't healthy anymore. Goodbye.
Okay, yeah.
I also felt that way when Final Fantasy kind of felt like they were just throwing this and that in all directions. Because remember, there was that point where 7 had all these weird spin offs. Everything from that mobile game to that fighting game to that. And
Guys.
And it just got weird to the point that it felt like, okay, you're just trying to milk me now for everything you can rather than really come out with a nice game. So
And then I wonder if a close second is like the people who do the Dynasty games, Toei. Like, but then again, we
it's
only
really
like a
only
specific
Dynasty,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah, because like to be fair, I played like their older they had like a Romance of the Three Kingdoms tactical combat game, and that was wonky as heck.
And then I know I was tempted to try getting the Gundam one just so that we could try.
Oh
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it's Dynasty Warriors with Gundam people. It's like the Dynasty Warriors with Link characters, Legend of Zelda characters. So yeah. RJ is asking, what about directors and actors? That's a good segue.
So I was about to go to movies and performances. So, as terrible as it will sound, I'm actually an M. Night Shyamalan fan.
Toby has said this many times. We've had long conversations about this. I'm like, really? Despite The Village, The Happening?
Okay, he needs a better team to guide him. Because when he takes
this
more
is Toby's
creative control,
okay,
it gets really wonky.
Does this tie back to my statement yesterday that more rules sets you free? In this case, he needs people to control him.
Silent Hill was amazing. Silent Hill. Sixth Sense was amazing, given there was so much crafting and control in the way it was approached. But then as you go through his other works, you feel he was having more control over things, which then overplays his hand and makes him too obvious. Like Lady in the Water, I actually like the story. And I actually like the twists. I hated it was him.
Yes. I think it got really weird when he started trying to do a Stephen King-ish and like, or an Alfred Hitchcock, whatever. Yeah, why are you in the movie?
And then I actually did also like The Village, despite the twist being universally hated. For me, it was still an acceptable twist because it was such a it was such a revelation for me that that could be the way this story is going.
Yeah.
But
It was
again,
it's still a good movie, and oh my god, Adrian Brody.
so yeah, and seeing now some of the stuff that have been coming out, like for example, Glass Split, which connect to Unbreakable.
Mm.
I'm a bit more excited again. I'm just really hoping more people help rein him in and tell him, okay, that's enough. You had enough of your vision in this element. Let's now make it more coherent. Because I think he just gets too carried away with coming up with what he thinks is interesting.
And
but
the
that's
twist, because the twist, you know.
Mhm.
I think I have two like main directors that I really follow the most, and then and we can alternate. But like
Mhm.
I'll first cite Wes Anderson.
Mm.
So Wes Anderson,
Yes.
I fell in love with Wes Anderson in high school, and it was like because, and stupidly, it's because remember when the Glorietta cinemas were redone, and then it was like this fancy theater experience. They
Mhm.
were doing strictly ticketed screenings. You could not stay over
Yes.
to the next screening and things like that. And then Glorietta had an art film dedicated studio, which was Cinema 2. And or was it 3? I can't remember if it was 2 or 3. But it was a smaller theater just for art films. And one of the first films I watched there was Rushmore,
Mhm.
which was a Wes Anderson production. And I enjoyed it, and it was just so quirky. And then I kind of kept following his filmography over the
Mhm.
years. And then I think I really, really like super fell in love because of the Darjeeling Limited.
Mhm.
And then later on, Fantastic Mr. Fox is like, what? He decided to do stop motion.
Mhm.
I super love Wes Anderson. His aesthetic is distinct to the point of being tropey,
Mhm.
but it's a visual style I super enjoy, and um and just his approach to characters is sometimes bizarre, but then there's
Mhm.
like a lot of heart in his
Yes.
stories, and I like that. I super like that. So yeah, Wes Anderson.
Well, Nick mentioned it. There's Tarsem Singh, who has been having quite a creative journey. And I feel both happy and frustrated that many only know him because of the new Lady Gaga video.
Yeah. Ta-chang! He did a Lady Gaga video, so good job for you.
But his evolution in terms of creative style is amazing. If you look at his earlier works and compare it to where he's gotten to, oh my gosh, I forgot her name again. I had it
Losing
in
My
head.
Religion.
Yes, REM's Losing My Religion was that turning point
This is my job
in his visual style.
to help Toby remember.
The Cell and The Fall are both films you must find a chance to watch. Visually, they're just quite amazing spectacles. But I love his attention to the absurd and yet finding ways to make it acceptable.
Mm.
And that takes guts to do. You know, it takes guts to have someone moving in a certain way that looks totally unnatural, and then you find yourself thinking that works.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes guts to do that. It's almost like you found dance choreography and you use it as a film language.
And then so Jed mentions Wes Anderson also, and Baz Luhrmann. Yeah, Baz Luhrmann's hyperrealism. That's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Kenny says that he's a Lars von Trier fan even after the controversy. I'm not familiar. Who's this?
So Lars von Trier has a lot of very controversial movies. One of them being The Antichrist, which has a shot of a penis being nailed and the like.
Ooh.
There's a lot of graphic
Not into
sexual
that.
portrayal or graphic violent portrayals in his movies. I think he was also behind Nymphomania, which had what's his name? What's his name?
Okay, this is how I can't help
He'll
you.
chase after you in the woods. Kind of.
Shia LaBeouf.
Yes, which had Shia LaBeouf. Which had Shia LaBeouf
We're not even drinking.
having sex with the character and it's full Monty. But supposedly,
Regular Tuesday night for Shia LaBeouf.
but supposedly they used porn actors for the sex scene, and they mapped the actors' faces. So it's a graphic sex scene, but it's not really them. Supposedly, whether or not that's true or not, I will not know, and I am fine not knowing.
Kenny also says he likes Guillermo del Toro in more conventional sense. And that's like I think a lot of people love his Del Toro really shines with his character designs, I feel. And that's why Hellboy, even though not all the stories have been great, but the characters in the movies are fantastic.
I feel Del Toro is similar to M. Night. He needs a team because I loved the earlier works. So everything from Pan's Labyrinth to the Devil's. Oh my God, the Devil's what was it? Spine or Backbone? I forgot. The Devil's Backbone, I think, and so on and so forth. But some of his later works, like gosh, I can't remember. Crimson Peak. Were bad.
And then even things like Pacific Rim, he was also involved in the first one.
Yeah, and then
right?
and even the Hellboy stuff.
Yeah, that's
the later Hellboy stories just felt
wow. It was very weird.
And the characters felt like they lost ideas and they're reusing props and adding elements. I don't know. It almost feels like for me he needs a team to push him further, because I know there are people who get stuck in a vision so much and they don't realize they have to move forward further. So that's how I feel about his work.
Okay, my other because to kind of go back to my other big director, and we'll go back to comments in a bit, is Edgar Wright.
Of course.
Why do you say of course? You knew I was gonna say it.
Of course.
And I don't know. At first I'm
Should I suddenly run away? Looking at you.
Obviously, I like a lot of. It's funny that as much as I'm a science fiction person, I watch a lot of drama. But my top directors are known for comedies, and Edgar Wright's visual language is phenomenal. And again, it's like it's not an overly fantastical representation. It's just smart cinematography. It's smart shot ideas and the like. And the Cornetto trilogy, of course, is always a great place to start. And even though they are not like a trilogy in the sense that they're not interconnected stories, but they are just wonderful comedic stuff. Shaun of the Dead still makes me laugh like no end, but I think my peak was really Hot Fuzz. Hot Fuzz was like, oh my God, I love this director. And I can't get over the way the way that the comedy was both in the writing and the sight gags and some of them were like borderline dad joke sight gags. Like the ones where he makes an evil pose and then the picture on the wall is exactly the same picture of that same pose. And I just love all these things. And then Baby Driver came along. And then I think Edgar Wright just turned it up to 11 and setting most of the movie to music, to like the sequences are to the beat of the different songs involved. Something which he toyed with in dating back to like Shaun of the Dead. But then really
attacking the
zombies. Yeah, Don't Stop Me Now. Because it was queen of all things. But yeah, so Baby Driver just took it to a whole new level. And then so now I'm like super excited to see what's gonna happen next.
Karen cites Tim Burton. Now I have a love and hate relationship now with Tim Burton. I love his vision. I love how he did the Batman movies. I was about to say Nightmare on Elm Street. That's wrong. Beetlejuice. And I was very hurt by that documentary to realize that was how little he had to do.
Oh, with Nightmare Before
Christmas. That was a painful realization. I know that there was drama about how the director was not given enough credit. But after seeing that documentary, that was painful to realize it was that little. And
it's the holiday movies that made us. They have an episode on Nightmare Before Christmas,
and it was a huge eye opener on how much more passion came from other people. And I will still admit that that project would not have existed without Tim Burton.
It's ultimately based on his visual
Vision, yes.
treatment and designs.
And that cannot be overlooked because that was an amazing vision. But the way the story was told was also huge,
Mm-mm.
and the creative choices that were made. I will give both parties equal respect because, admittedly, he insisted not to change the ending, and that was a powerful ending. But at the same time, like in terms of how the script was taking too long, so we'll focus on the songs first, and then deciding to change the person who does the voice. I respect those decisions.
Mm-mm.
Those are very hard decisions to make. And so yeah, so it's a love and hate relationship I have right now with Tim Burton. I feel frustrated that he didn't give more to the director. I don't know why, but that's how I feel about that.
Karen also mentions Giuseppe Tomato. It's not sure about the spelling, but then for Malena and Cinema Paradiso.
Yes.
Cinema Paradiso is definitely a classic forever.
Yeah. Admittedly, for me, Malena is even. I love Malena more than Cinema Paradiso. But I wouldn't count them as idols for me. Only because I never really got into more stuff.
That's fair. Okay.
Actors. Performances you really love.
I'm now going to run away because I need to use a little boy's room for a moment, and I will try to think of an answer because I don't have an answer. Okay, go. Next.
So this is your favorite director suddenly running away. Oh boy. See, left me alone. I'm now alone and nervous. Because suddenly, with the question of actors, is Toby now struggling to remember names? Ah, oh my gosh. Okay, a moment as I try to remember the names. This is so terrible. Alone in front of the camera and trying to remember names. If there was one performer whom I really admire in terms of acting skills, it would be Tilda Swinton. Tilda Swinton for me is just such an amazing chameleon when it comes to performances. And in as much as Meryl Streep is the darling of practically a majority of the gay population of the earth, I would vote Tilda Swinton over Meryl Streep. Seeing the range of actual literal transformations in her performances to the point that you don't even realize it's her anymore has been something I really admire, especially with the recent but not as successful movie, which was the remake of Suspiria, where she played three roles: an old woman, a character closer to her age, and a man. And it actually took quite some time before people realized it was actually her in all three roles. She went as far as even denying that she was that role for a few months. I'm also admittedly a very huge Tom Hanks fan.
We have not talked about this.
I mean, I don't find him cute or hot or anything.
No, it's not about that.
But for me,
Yeah.
Tom Hanks is my Meryl Streep, in the sense that for people who love Meryl Streep, it's because she's so her acting is so honest and it's so natural, and that's how I feel about Tom Hanks when he acts. I still know it's Tom Hanks, but I am willing to lose myself in his acting to see the character he's portraying. So I actually feel he's in danger when he's acting, that he's in danger and stuff like that.
Okay.
I connect to his acting in that way. But Tilda Swinton would be my, if I were to choose an actor.
I'm going to be very traditional in the sense that, okay, I think that the two actresses that always stand out for me are definitely Meryl Streep.
Mhm.
And Meryl Streep always, it sounds like a stereotype.
It's
Oh my
not,
God,
because she's
Meryl
really good.
Yeah, but then again, it's I think it's over the movies that I was able to watch. There's just really something else that she brings
Mhm.
to the table every time, and I absolutely love
Mhm.
it. I
Mhm.
super love it, and
She has micro expressions that
yes,
she uses.
I think in Devil Wears Prada is probably the most accessible example of like for people to appreciate
Mhm.
Meryl Streep. But then even things like what's this? A series of unfortunate events. Her
Mhm.
as the aunt, the
Mhm.
agoraphobic aunt. I loved it, and it's
Mhm.
so crazy how you could see how much fun she had with the role, how campy it was, but it was a delight. And then, on a similar vein, another long-running actress that I super appreciate is, of course, Judy Dench, and
Mm.
I again love the dignity that she brings to the work.
Mhm.
I know it's also because I watch a lot of period stuff, and so it's like, oh, it's Judy Dench again, and I'm excited. Um, and her range is amazing, but ultimately, it's like because of I guess, uh, especially when she became M in like the James Bond movies,
Mhm.
and then other projects which are definitely fun, like when she was Queen Elizabeth
Yes.
more than once, and then when she even the exotic Marigold Hotel
Mhm.
where there were just a bunch of old people. I don't know. I just love there is a subtle charm that is endearing about her performances.
That's true.
That I love it every time.
I think I want to be Judy Dench.
Dame Judy Dench.
I want to grow old and people see me the way they see Judy
Oh,
Dench.
and then you should see sort of her friendship with Graham Norton. Whenever she guests on the Graham Norton show,
That's nice.
they have so much fun. They have so much fun. So and then I just love her even more. And she's just a beautiful person.
And didn't she have that thing with her nephew? Wherein there's all these social
oh,
media.
because that's so dench.
And
Trying to make it a phrase.
And they were like tossing jokes at each other or making these little challenges.
Mm-mm.
And oh my god.
Yeah, so tough to check out. Jay was asking about Helena Bonham Carter. It depends. I don't think she's consistent for me. There's a lot of great work that she does, but that's not enough for me to like say like I super love her. I think I appreciate her more when she's not working with Tim Burton. Like I think she's had more interesting work outside of Tim Burton stuff.
Yeah.
Not that her Tim Burton stuff is bad, but
Yeah.
then I feel like she gets to push herself more outside of Tim Burton.
Mm-hmm.
You
That's
said
fair.
nothing.
No, that's fair. Because I was thinking, I feel like she's been typecasted.
That's true.
Like there's
That's
so
true.
many things she can do, but she keeps getting roles that are too close to each other.
But then I feel like a lot of that is Tim Burton.
Yes, that's why when you were saying away from Tim Burton, yeah, that
because
kinda does
wasn't
sound
it like what were we watching recently that you were saying like, oh, this character wishes she was Helena Bonham Carter. There was
the Peculiars, the Peculiar Children. Yes, that one. I will not say more.
I guess close enough.
I loved her in Fight Club.
And then like
and the King's Speech.
She was in Enola Holmes. That was fun.
Yes, Enola Holmes was great.
She was fun. Yeah. RJ cites Joaquin Phoenix is an actor. Almost all capital letters.
He's okay. For me, my high point with Joaquin Phoenix was
Gladiator? No, not even.
Signs.
Of course. We went back to an M. Night movie. This is one of our earliest relationship discussions.
But admittedly, that was
like
good
super
casting.
Into M. Night.
That was good casting compared to, The Happening with, but what about the bees? Someone has to care about the bees. Oh my god. And for some reason, that gets repeated in the Transformers movies because he's progressed from school teacher.
I'm an inventor. I'm an inventor. I make things. I know this. This is our Mark Wahlberg voice. It's kind of dopey. I'm a scientist. I'm an inventor.
I don't get why they think it works. Eva Green is in the risk of getting typecasted.
Yeah, because she's always like this scary, strong woman. That with like quirky sensibilities.
Mm-hmm.
But then I think we definitely loved her in oh my god, was that Penny Dreadful? That was her in Penny Dreadful.
Yes,
right?
she was in Penny Dreadful.
That was wonderful. I loved her in Penny Dreadful. Other stuff that she's done. Boop, 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 looking around. Doop, doop,
Mm.
doop, doop,
Quantum
doop.
of Solace. She was Casino Royale. She was in Casino Royale.
Yeah.
And Kingdom of Heaven, where she
Can you scroll up with us there? There was a
Dark
camera.
Shadows, 300. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So, but still, like, I think Penny Dreadful was just like that. What do you think of Emma Thompson? Is Karen's question.
I think I liked her when I was younger.
I
But-
feel like she is also. I mean, I don't think she has had the opportunity to demonstrate excellent range. She's like Kenneth Branagh in the sense that there are certain movies I know that Kenneth Branagh will do that Emma Thompson will do. Although, like little more recent projects like Late Night, she got to flex a bit more,
Mhm.
or even that
Saving Mr. Banks.
Same Mr. Banks. She was definitely a little different. But then I feel like there's like a general like Shakespearean tone to the role she ends up doing and the kind of things that she ends up acting through. I mean, it's not necessarily bad, but again, it's starting to feel a little one note, maybe. Yeah. So that's my dig on Emma Thompson, and then but Nikki Stress says, but someone has to care about the bees.
With his blinking and looking around.
Kenny asks, when it comes to voice actors in games and animated shows, are you guys a fan of specific voice actors?
I will admit I don't keep track. I know I
it's
should.
Hard.
I know
It's
I
hard.
should, but I don't. It's not something I end up connecting with because I know a lot of people who really love cartoons have that connection that oh it's that person who does the voice for this and this and this. I'm not there, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not super knowledgeable as well. I mean, like as much as I love how so many of my 80s cartoons were voiced by Peter Cullen and Frank Welker because they just voiced everything at the time. I think, if anything, the ones that float to the top for me is an appreciation definitely for Tara Strong. I think Tara Strong defined a lot of our childhood and brought to life many of the strongest like female characters around on different cartoons. And then, oh my God, what's his name? Yeah. I was right. All right. I had the right one in my head. I just making sure. Then I guess Tom Kenny. Tom Kenny's done a lot of like great voices and again good range, and I appreciate his continued efforts in that regard. Tom Kenny is, of course, like for more recent memory, I think about Ice King. Of course, more people will think about a SpongeBob. But yeah, he's done a lot of good stuff. Jay mentions Yuri Lowenthal and Tara Strong. Okay, for voice actors, that's cool. And then, oh yes, John Dimaggio. Okay, you gotta appreciate John Dimaggio. Because of course, I again I think about Adventure
I
Time.
think that's the only
Jake
name
the
I
dog
know.
and Bender and stuff. So, but yeah, okay. What else? What other categories are we gonna think about? People we like idolize.
So since we're talking about cartoons, we'll have to touch on cartoons. So I'm not sure if Rebecca Sugar would count in our idols when it comes to cartoons.
Because it's like there's really just Steven Universe and then her limited work that we like on Adventure Time. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's there yet.
Yeah, and then Steven Universe Future was like a little mixed.
And then I did also list down Gendy Tartakovsky.
Oh, that's true.
who-
I'm from the Dexter era, and of course,
Everything from the
Samurai Jack,
silent Star Wars shorts.
Star Wars Clone Wars, which is
Yes.
different from Star Wars The Clone Wars.
And of course the ongoing Primal, which is the caveman type of stories. I think I really like his work, but I never really paid attention to his career. I don't know where he is or what he's doing now and this and that. But when I do see his work, I'm pretty impressed and I'm pretty
Intermission.
I really
Nikki
enjoy it.
mentions he finally finished downloading Repo the Genetic Opera. I am so excited for
yes,
you.
I can't wait to hear how much you will like
Because
it.
then you'll have wonderful lyrics like grave robber, grave robber.
Sometimes I wonder if I need you at all. That's a good one. That's a good one.
That's a fun musical.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Kenny said my fave two big boys. Oh, which was John Dimaggio and who's the other one? Okay, then Patricia's asking about Cree Summers. Who's Cree Summers? I don't know who Cree Summers is. Let's Google Cree Summers.
Canadian actress and singer known for playing Winifred Freddie Brooks on A Different World. Animation is the voice of Penny
Wow.
in Inspector Gadget.
But yeah, sorry, no idea. I mean, I didn't know who she was. I haven't really followed her career.
Artists, I guess we can mix between classical and modern. Comic art, I would have to cite. I had to load up the name just to make sure. So it's Duncan Fegredo, who is not that known an artist, a British artist who did stuff for Enigma, Hellboy, Kill Your Boyfriend, if I remember correctly. But that was an artist whose work I really, really, really admired.
Okay.
You have?
From comics, I think, what's this? There was one I liked. Who was the comic artist? The J? The Dark Tower one.
Jay
Lee.
Yeah.
Yes.
Jay
Okay. Jay Lee art was definitely like super evocative, but then it's like borderline like Alex Ross in the sense that wow, Alex Ross makes great covers. But then I think in recent times the artist that really stood out for me for comics was like Mike Allred.
Yes.
Like Mike Allred stuff, which in itself is like referential to old Kirby-esque stuff with like really thick borders and the like. His work on Silver Surfer, I just super fell in love with.
And if you're not accustomed to his work, you'll feel there's a distorted quality to how he does things. But it's almost because it's almost like he took a snapshot of a scene, so people aren't posed. So like someone is reaching for you, but
it looks awkward.
The drawing might be that awkward moment of still reaching and not the complete.
Yeah.
So it has that. For me, that's what I like about his work. It has
he does a lot of in between moments.
In art, I'll have to add, and this was a combo. It's John Cassidy and Laura Martin. They were the team that worked visually on the Planetary series, and really, really loved how they approached the different art styles that were needed in that book. And then there's the other artist who I really like. I keep worrying if I'll say the names wrong, so I have to search it up. Frank Quitely.
Yeah.
Who, in the earlier years, his artwork had women who looked like men.
Yeah, they were all like super
big. They had those
really, and square jaws.
Yeah. But later on, has, I think, the best rendition of a, pardon the term, bitchy Emma Frost that I've ever seen. Especially in that X-Men run.
Yeah. Okay. Quick comic rundown. Jay for voice actors, I did Dante Basco as Zuko and Jake Long. Okay, yeah. Zuko was good job, Rufio. Yes, very iconic. Then there's the explanation that Cree Summer, because she was in Atlantis apparently. So that helps. Kenny mentions for comic books he likes Mike Mignola.
Oh, that's the Hellboy artist.
Okay. Yeah.
Hellboy writer and artist.
Okay. And then they're still discussing who is who. Okay. So other artists that you want to cite?
Non-modern. Let's talk about paintings.
Non-modern.
Classical. Yeah.
It's very stereotyped, but I'm a Van Gogh person. I do super appreciate. I think it's also because of the very intensity of the strokes tell a story in terms of the painting. That there's so much emotion in just the way that the paint ended up on the canvas. That kind of speaks to his sometimes tortured mental state. But yeah, I super love Van Gogh stuff. My favorite is not Starry Night. Is if anything, it's still that painting of his bedroom.
Mhm.
I don't know why. I super love it. It dates back to us playing the original Masterpiece board game, where in the game you are art dealers buying and selling art, and sometimes the art is a forgery. And it's funny because it was done by, they had little different picture reproductions of classical art pieces, and then you would blindly pair it with a price, with a value card.
Mhm.
And then we'll have a public auction. Everybody bids on the painting, and then when you get the painting, you'll see how much it's really worth versus how much you paid at auction. And then you'll have to determine if you're gonna keep it or eventually try to sell it also. And then sometimes it's forgery, and then like, excellent. And then you have to figure out how to flip that darn painting. So yeah, so I'm definitely a Van Gogh person.
Checking comments real quick.
How about you for your artist?
Nikki, of course, shares George Perez.
Oh, okay, yes.
Yes. Yeah, George Perez has that distinct art style. Who was the other one who was often compared to George Perez? Ron Lim, I think. In terms of because Ron Lim did a lot of the Infinity Gauntlet stuff, and George Perez did a lot of the Crises. Sorry.
Okay, okay.
So my classical artist, and I had to load up the name to make sure, it's Hieronymus Bosch.
I when I look at the art, it's familiar. I'm just not
Yes.
familiar with the name of the artist.
So he's known for a lot of the very surreal, disturbing ones.
Of course, Toby wants disturbing.
One of the more popular ones was something, I think it was Saturn eating his son, if I remember the name.
Delicious.
Where it literally had the image of, let's see if I can load it. Eating son. Oops, song. Yep, that's it. Saturn devouring his son, which was inspired by Francisco Goya. But yeah, I like that. But I'm also a Van Gogh fan. I keep getting confused though. Is it Go or Goth or Goth?
I don't know. I haven't really looked it up.
There's all these. It's supposed to be Van Gogh or something like that, and I'm like,
I will just be very American and say Van Gogh. Kenny mentions he likes Monet and Mark Rothko. There was a time like they were like super obsessed with like Degas and like, yeah, how much do you like ballerinas? So I know, but I do love impressionists in general.
there was a time I was into. I don't know how to say his name. Piet Modrian.
The whole geometric thing.
Yeah, I liked it, and I think this just reminded me of the old games of Rolo and Brush, where you try to color. Yeah, that's me.
Okay.
Oh, we didn't talk about classical music.
Okay. Take a stab at it. What do you like?
The orange.
I guess that's fair. We walked into that. When did we? Okay. For classical music, I mean, as much as like I was raised early on to like you must appreciate Mozart because it's Mozart. But then I think, and then like there was also a lot of time I listened to a lot of Vivaldi for a time. But I think the one that really stood out for me, that kind of haunts me forever, is Mahler. So I super love Mahler. I used to listen to this one Mahler cassette over and over again. It was like my study music. It was my, I'm reading a book and I need music playing music. This is before I opened the doors to pop music. I listened to Mahler and Vivaldi a lot, but more Mahler. And then there's this other piece. I don't even know who. I haven't looked at the composer, but there's this beautiful album called Pictures at an Exhibition.
Yes.
Which I tried to introduce to Toby, where really, if you take note of the title of each movement and you listen to the whole album, whatever concert, it is music that is meant to convey the different paintings at this museum. And it's amazing. It's amazing. it's such a beautiful audio experience. I think there was a copy of it on Spotify, if I'm not mistaken, and I will double check. Toby, would you specifically cite who your orange is?
I'm actually trying to find my list because you know I'm always terrible with names.
Mm-hmm. I'm double checking pictures at an exhibition.
I think I haven't even listed it down as this orange song. I know it was Carmen Bizet. I'm not sure which name is which. See, I'm that terrible.
Oh, see, pictures at an exhibition. It's Mussorgsky. Mussorgsky. Mm. Yes, yes, yes. It's this one. It's a beautiful piece. It's a beautiful piece. It's just, and uh, there's even like transition music when you're walking from one painting to the other. So it all super works out. There are multiple versions of it on Spotify. In case you're curious, I recommend it. Especially like Sunday is just around the corner. Spend a Sunday afternoon listening to pictures at an exhibition. Even if you're not super into classical music, yeah, this will help you appreciate how they use music to recreate visuals. Dare I say? Okay.
Yeah, I think that's good. I'm not gonna find mine. It's like names I can't pronounce. That's how terrible I am.
Oh, but then as a kid, I super loved Peter and the Wolf, the musical piece, not just the Disney cartoon. Although the Disney cartoon used the same music as scoring. And again, it's another of those beautiful examples of music that paints pictures. Because then the sound of Peter, the hunters, the wolf, they were all represented by different instruments, and then when they come together in different parts of the story, and then when the wolf eats one of them, and then you can kind of hear the instrument very faintly in the belly of the wolf while the wolf music is playing. It's very complex layering. So, oh my God, Peter and the Wolf. If you listen to the original Peter and the Wolf, is that on
we should try
Spotify?
to find that one time and hear it.
That's the dad.
But yeah, I think we covered everything. Unless there's anything else that you feel we should.
It's another Russian thing. See, it's Sergei Prokofiev. But yeah, there's a lot of Peter and the Wolf on Spotify, so that's something to listen to. But do pictures of an exhibition first. Other idols, I don't know. Kenny much earlier was asking, are there local directors you like?
Okay. To be honest, there are works I like, but I haven't gotten to the point of saying I like the director.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. So that's the honest way to say it. I haven't gotten to the point of feeling I'm in an idolizing point with any local productions.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I totally don't have anything. I mean, like, I don't have good local context. I'm so sorry. I do not have an innate interest in local productions for some reason, and I don't know, and it sounds very close-minded of me, but in the same sense that I don't seem to be in a circle where I get blips on, oh my God, the latest movie from blah 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 is coming out. I don't feel that vibe for like local entertainment. And then the few productions that get a lot of that stuff are things like the latest, Vice Ganda movie or the astest whatever. Then it's like, not gonna. Nikki, have not heard of what? Peter and the Wolf or Pictures and Exhibition? Anyway, Karen was asking about favorite TV shows. Well, I guess, are there TV people we idolize? Or, and I'm wondering if you had a J.J. Abrams period.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes.
Because of Lost and Fringe. And then it kind of tapered off from there. Because he went movies.
Yeah, admittedly. And the thing about me with TV is I tend to really prefer slow burn. I like the stories having a longer meta fiction interconnecting all the episodes. So shows like Millennium, Spooks were the ones that really um, tickled me right. But then
Oh, hello, Mashu.
with
Hello.
shows like Jane the Virgin coming in,
Mm.
wherein it's new plot twist after new plot twist and then resolving it real quick. That did shift my interest as well, and that suddenly sparked interest as well in shows like Quantico or you know.
Why Quantico?
No, because admittedly, Alias, I still struggle to enjoy Alias, despite
Yeah,
Despite
Alias
it-
is hard.
despite it being
J.J. Abrams
Yeah.
also.
see. So there was that weird struggle that I felt.
Quantico.
So in TV, I think the only shows that really got me to the fanboying level was Lost and to some extent Fringe. And I
Mm.
only say to some extent Fringe because I never found myself wanting to dress up as Fringe or, you know. So it feels like Lost was still ahead in that regard. But I think it was also because with Lost, I had a community that was also into it. So there was that joy
Mm.
of celebrating it in that way. Whereas in Fringe, we just loved the story so much. We didn't approach it like a fandom
Yeah.
in the sense of,
Then I'm looking like, what else is? I'm wondering if it's like I guess for people who do TV stuff, then there was definitely a period that I super love Ron Moore.
yeah.
But then I think it's only really like his Star Trek work and BSG.
hmm
But then beyond that, I didn't really get into his other stuff.
Not even Outlander.
Yeah, Outlander. I only really got into the theme song. So that's a thing. And then I guess more recent stuff was like Inside Number 9 was
Yes.
intriguing.
RJ was asking, do we enjoy Black Mirror? So Black Mirror is similar to
Inside Number 9.
Number 9, to Twilight Zone, to what was that other show? Similar to Twilight Zone at the time. Outer Limits,
Hmm.
where it's all about
Oops, wrong one.
it's all about the weird facets of the world or parts of the world where weird, strange events happen, and then we see what happens next. Black Mirror had its great moments, admittedly. In many ways, it's still the first 2 seasons that shine the brightest for me.
Yeah, I think I honestly feel like we were more excited for Black Mirror before it went to Netflix. Not that the Netflix stuff is bad.
Yeah,
But then there was something about it that was like
there was a tighter approach to its narrative
yeah.
in the first few
Oh wow,
seasons.
RJ has seen Inside Number 9.
Yeah, Inside
12
Number
Days
9
of
is
Christine.
amazing. And then
I feel like Inside Number 9 is more consistent than Black Mirror in terms of like level of quality.
but it might be because the creative team
It's tight.
is the same team.
Yeah, it's very small.
Yeah. Although they do have their misses, like the I was about to say, I almost spoiled it.
Yeah, we don't want to spoil.
But
But as for in terms of hit rate, more of Inside Number 9 was more interesting to watch than Black Mirror.
and when you go to shows like that, I found myself also gravitating towards. Remember The Lost Room?
You made me watch it, but then it's not something that was like.
It was like a
common
mini
knowledge.
series.
Yeah.
But it's that sort of thing that I would have preferred seeing more of,
Mm-mm.
because it was sort of like if Black Mirror was a interconnected story arc, which is what made Black Mirror even more interesting for me after the Netflix shift because of the museum.
Yeah. The Black Museum.
But it was just one episode, so there's that. If only more.
It didn't quite push,
Yeah.
right? It didn't quite push. Okay. Other things. Are there comedians that we are a fan of or
Not
something?
really for me. I mean, okay. Let's say I love Fleabag, and I know she does stand-up comedy and the like, but I wouldn't be able to say I count her as a comedian I really follow.
Yeah, because even like we love Miranda,
Or Miranda.
and Miranda has her own comedy work, but then not enough maybe to say full on fandom or
Yeah.
like what's this?
Definitely not a fan of Yokoi.
Oh yeah, of course.
Not my type of humor. Maybe.
Yeah, then like I like Hannah Gadsby's stand up stuff.
Yes,
but then
her in the network.
but then again, it's like there's only limited things we've seen. I used to kind of be more in Hasaminage because of Homecoming King and then his daily work stuff, and then but then not super beyond that. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if there's like particular comedians I super follow or like that I like them, including their stand-up comedy work.
Come to think of it, in terms of shows, I think the only actual comedy show that I got into was Whose Line Is It? And the rest were, they had to be comedy dramedies or the like, but pure comedy shows like Bubblegang and the like, I never connected with.
I mean, I have my Monty Python thing, and I super love that stuff. But then I don't know if it's that's gonna stand out. RJ mentions Louis C.K. I never got into Louis C.K. I tried a few, and it wasn't quite my style of humor. So, so I think I like Hisamana because the immigrant minority story was like so relatable, and then of course Hanagag was like just so powerful. And then what's his name? The guy that did Please Like Me. I like Please Like Me, but then I don't know if I like him because like he can be a little annoying sometimes. So it's a bit of hit or miss.
Jay asks local musicians or bands. So I had a very strong. Oh my god, I can't remember the name all of a sudden.
They sang songs with musical instruments or none.
Okay, it's annoying. I'm visualizing the album cover. I'm remembering concerts that I saw. Can't remember the name. Sugar Hiccup. I had a very strong Sugar Hiccup period in my life.
Congratulations, you remember.
I was also, for a point in time, I was a huge fan of the Police. But that was also partly because I knew people in the group. Same with, oh my gosh, what was their name?
So be remembering names is like a game in itself.
Yeah, I know, it's so terrible. Can I just pass? I just wanted to
The Lullaby of Broadway.
but it's not connecting in my head.
I don't know. I don't think I've had a band I've had like a strong gravitation towards. I mean, like in my high school years, I kind of got into Parokya ni Edgar, but then I don't think I would ever say I idolize them or see them in that light. Karen mentions Wanda Sykes is one of her favorite comedians. That's cool. I mean, like I like her. Her stand-up is definitely like there is a maturity. I don't know if maturity is the word, but then there's like you can feel the experience that she brings to the table when she does stand-up comedy. So that's some striking stuff. And I watched a few of the like I every now and then I try watching the stand-up comedians on Netflix. So like Mulaney I don't really get into, and then there were some British guys I didn't really get into. So I don't know. Not idols to be outright about it.
I had a Joey Ayala phase. This was like sometime in college. And then it got stronger during my immersion with PETA when I was, I was part of the Kapatid and all that and helping out in theater. So yeah.
Oh, you didn't hear Toby say no, we're not into Jokoi. Never got into Jokoi. It's like Rex Navarrete. No.
I actually only appreciated Rex Navarrete's work
when it was animated in Flash.
Yes. But then when I started seeing some of the other clips of his actual shows, it wasn't for me. I mean, it's great comedy. It hits a lot of the tickle bones and but
the tickle bones,
but not for me.
Yeah, same. I don't know. I feel like it's the same. I mean, a lot of the I think a lot of the Filipino American comedians end up celebrating the same stereotypes and tropes over and over again. Then it just feels like more and more disconnected from what's actually happening in the Philippines. That it's always going to be the jokes about Vicks and jokes about whatever. And like it's so I feel like a lot of the jokes feel like they were Rex Navarrete jokes, and then like it's the same thing again. And so like, why are we stuck in this? So I don't know. That I guess then it didn't really feel striking for me.
I also had for a period of time a strong sugar-free thing.
You have a lot of sugar.
Yeah, I realize now, sugar hiccup, sugar free. But I actually had to divorce myself from sugar free music because that was also a connection to my then girlfriend.
Oh, because you like dessert.
So I kind of, hmm, it feels weird now to listen to this. Um, and it was interesting that one person in that band was my schoolmate.
Oh, really? Oh, small world.
So it was you're in this band. It was that sort of a moment when I realized it was playing. Um, yeah, Sweet Tooth. That's probably gonna be my mutant name.
No, you know what that is? It's your Legion name. It's not. It's not your mutant name. It's your Legion name.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I guess that's pretty much it. I'm not sure there's anything else we missed.
Andre also likes Whose Line Is It Anyway. I super had a thing for Whose Line Is It Anyway, but then it gets tiring to just keep watching though, because we tried binging for a while, because it was on like iFlix or something, and then we tried watching like, oh wow, this is a lot. But I super appreciate the Drew Carey period. So, but then he went on to The Price Is Right. So, what can you do? Yeah, I can't think of any other categories for like who you have idol for. Last check with everyone. If you're still on the stream, we see that there are only 6 of you left watching.
Oh,
Thanks for staying this long.
I guess we can wrap up. I just remembered part of what we were thinking of as an extender if need be was fictional idols.
Yeah.
But we
then
can make that a separate episode all on its own.
maybe. And I don't think we have enough people to like justify. Karen, you see favorite designer of what?
Because if it's fashion, I don't really have any answers for you. But if I were to choose one,
Strut.
it would be again.
Strut is a musical
name-
genre. Apparently,
name.
I'm into. Says Spotify because it's now a genre. Yeah. On a side note, for everybody's Spotify rap, do you notice that it cites like we're all like got into so many genres, and then I feel like it's because Spotify is trying to do a Netflix, and they are tagging songs and music with multiple, with creative, funny sounding genres, and so suddenly, like, how did I get into 300 new genres this year? It's because Spotify created 500 new genres. I don't know. Karen clarifies fashion.
Fashion per se, none. But if I had to choose, I would cite Eiko Ishioka. I know she passed away, if I remember correctly, but she was the one behind the costume designs for Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Okay. I do not have a fashion reference. I can't think of. Oh no, it looks like she's not. Oh, she's dead. 2012.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if I remember, yes, The Cell in the Fall was also her.
Okay, that's why. See, Toby's consistent. Yeah.
But beyond that, I know there's a lot of fashion that I see and I'm like, ooh, that's nice. But I don't really connect with who it is.
Anyone from Runway? No.
Runway.
Strut,
No, I can't remember. I can't remember a specific one from Runway who had shoes either.
Is a music genre. So we have Kenny, we have Karen, we have Andre. So that's 3 people. We have Jay, that's 4.
Then
Maybe
Mimi.
RJ's still around at 5.
Then Mimi, 6'7".
Yeah, 6, 7, and then one more because it's 8. So, okay, but hey, thanks for staying this long in the stream. We appreciate you.
I guess we can wrap up.
I guess we're gonna wrap up unless you have any last stuff, but we'll probably start the extra. So
that was more than 50 minutes.
Why 50?
I don't know.
Why are you saying 50?
I tried to adjust, but mentally math didn't work. That was more than 30 minutes. We had a lot of fun, and we hope you'll join us again next time.
This is the man I love, guys. This is the man I love. Should you have questions or suggestions for future episodes, fill up the Google form at bit.ly Baduy Pride Ideas. We have RJ to thank for today's topic. You saved us at the last minute because we didn't know what to talk about today. Our original idea was like, episode 101. We should do a 101 about something. But to be fair, a lot of our episodes are like 101s on games.
Beginner games.
Getting into tabletop RPGs.
Or going out for the first time.
I was joking over lunch, like, then should it be 101 on how to be our friends? That's a hard 101. Okay, so we didn't do that. But again, your suggestions are always welcome. Hey, we're running out of topics in the queue. I think we're now below 30 again. And then
But please do send us ideas.
yeah,
It might
it's always
seem
fun.
crazy. You might think it might not be as interesting, but send it anyway because we might find a way to spin it around or give it a new, fresh coat of paint.
Yes. You can follow us on Twitter. Toby is all Toby No Shade, and I'm RG Sunico. Just introduce yourselves so we know who you are, because some of your Twitter handles are like really weird. Okay.
You can also check out our blog. That's baduypride.com for all the previous episodes and stuff about us.
And then, of course, feel free to continue the conversation in the comments below. Who are the different people you idolize for things they create, things they do, things they represent to you? We would love to hear more. Be sure to subscribe for notifications, whether in Facebook or YouTube, so you don't miss our next live stream. Once again, I'm Rocky.
And I'm Toby.
And this is Baduy Pride. Have a good Saturday night, everyone. Thanks for joining. Bye. Bye. Gonna click now. Bye.